Okay, so I'm here with Moneybag Madden, and we're just going to get right into it. But I've always known you to be the most consistent content creator that I've seen, like on Twitter originally. Always putting out tweets, always putting out content.
Yep.
And in the past, I guess 6 months, maybe to a year, you've been pumping out video content. So what's been the driver behind actually moving over to video and starting to focus more heavily on content? Like, why were you doing that? And like, kind of what's your philosophy behind putting out video?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been way better on video, I believe, personally. Like, I'm good at writing, obviously. I mean, that's how I made a lot of my first money. But, like, from a personal brand perspective, I'm very good at communicating my message via video. And more people are caring about video content. So, as far as, like, the consistency side, what's that driving factor is I want to be everywhere. So, it's like I put out good quality content. And we definitely should get into some strategies because you know a lot more about the strategy. For me, it's just volume.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's easy to consume that type of content. More and more people want to just sit there and just be like, like that.
Scrolling,
So that's why I'm doing video. Like that's the big philosophy behind it. And it does help that I'm handsome and I've got all this charisma.
Yep. You got
so
the
that
beer,
definitely helps.
you got the drip, you got the rolly, you have all that. But in terms of like, because you put out volume, right?
Right.
So then what's your approach towards, because this is the biggest problem that I see with people that want to put out videos, they can't come up with ideas. But you put out so much volume for content. So what's your approach towards ideas? Because that's the biggest roadblock I see people have.
Bro, my team and I were all like, Dylan, just chill out. Like I could put out, if you think I'm doing a lot of volume now, that I could literally do 10 times that. But it's for me, I don't want to be putting out so much volume that the engagement just drops off. Nobody cares. Like we were doing about 5 videos a day on Instagram Reels. We were also posting those on YouTube. And you could definitely tell, especially on Instagram, and this was a couple months ago actually, where the views just are decreasing. I was like, oh, that's weird. I thought it'd be the complete opposite.
Yep.
So I have unlimited ideas, and I get them from obviously students I'm helping, so they'll keep asking about certain questions, or I'll analyze something from my own life, come up with a video topic about that, or I'll be at a cafe and hear a conversation. So for me, I've got too many ideas.
Yep.
That's really how I come up with it. It's just like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Video, or I'll just type it out, or I'll do an audio note and then turn that to an email. Because people just see like Twitter, I guess we call it X now. They just see that, but then I'm also on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, email. So we're everywhere. So, and I really have to strive to hold myself back because I could be putting out way more content because you don't want to just pump out, like let's say I was doing 20 videos a day and 100 tweets a day. Like, is that actually quality? So for me, I have to rein it back in a little bit and be like, okay, is this actually valuable? So I trash most of the ideas that I even have. It's just like, oh, wow, that's a really good idea. And I'll add it to my notepad. You can ask Colson. Like, if you go through my notepad, it's like a schizophrenic, crazy person. Just like, oh, this is an idea. Oh, this is an idea. But most of the time, I'm like, is this really? Nah. And I trash it.
And do you have a process for taking those like rough ideas, turning them into like say hooks or something, and then taking that to a recording session? Or what do you kind of do for turning ideas into hooks and you know eventually that's the video?
Yeah, so I would actually like to talk to you a little bit about hooks because for me personally, it's like, oh, that's a good idea, and then I'll just think about something to kind of catch their attention, and then I go straight into it. And it's more of a natural skill now because I've built it up. Like I've recorded thousands of videos by this point, all in all, like between course material, like calls with students, obviously Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Twitter videos. Like I've done thousands of videos by this point, so it's way more natural for me now. But I would actually like to talk to you about like hooks, so we can really just grab their attention.
Yeah. I mean, the best way you can do a hook is honestly the process that I use for actually creating ideas and then creating hooks and then turn those into videos is I do just what you do as well. I do a mind dump of just endless ideas, whether they're good, whether they're bad, I don't care. I sit in the computer and I just speed type them out, like 50 to 100 ideas, whether they could be bad or good. And then I'll pick the ones that I like or delete the ones that I don't like. And then I'll sit those on a dock and I'll just like look at them for like 10, 15 minutes to see which ones could actually have potential. And then I'll start to write out 3 rough hooks per video. So underneath that, this will be in like a Google Doc, 3 hooks per video. And then I look at those hooks and I think, how can I give this hook more context about what the video is about, and how can I make it more intriguing? So what words can I change to make it sound more like mysterious or like make someone actually want to stay for the video, and how to give more context? Because if you don't say exactly what is going to happen in that video in the first 3 seconds, or at least give some kind of hint, someone's just going to scroll
100%.
past. That's why, like, the biggest thing that I see people make a mistake on is they introduce themselves in the video. Say, hey, my name is Shaw, and I've done this and that, and then, 5-10 seconds of talking, and they still don't know what the video is going to be. Unless you're someone famous, that doesn't work. Unless you're like Alex Hormozy or Tate or somebody, like, you're not going to get that attention because they don't know who you are. So you have to think, I always write 3 hooks. How can I make this more intriguing? How can I give it more context to the video? And again, for me as well, same as you, it's kind of a skill at this point. It's a muscle that you need to work.
Yeah.
Actually coming up with hooks and actually recording them and being able to say them concisely, because that's another big thing as well. So that's kind of the process that I go through. But you're going to be shifting over from short form into long form. So what was the goal of the short form, and now what are you looking to do with your long form content?
Yes, I mean, that's a good question. We built up, for the most part, the entire channel with long form. So it's like nothing new. It's just sitting down for like an hour to record a video and then editing, blah, blah, blah. Versus like shorts. Like I've got endless videos out there that we can turn into shorts. So it's way easier right now. So yeah, we'll definitely be doing the long form video content moving forward. And the short form, I don't want the YouTube channel just to die off. So that's the thing I really like about short form is it's so easy. Like so easy to put out valuable content if you actually know what you're talking about. So it's for YouTube, obviously, then I repurpose it over onto Instagram, repurpose it over onto Twitter. So it's easy. Like it's like, okay, I can post to this one platform, but then I can repurpose it and all these others. And actually now with X, they're encouraging long form content. So that'll be a part of my next strategy, as well as we start getting long form videos going out on YouTube, I'm also going to upload them to X. My only complaint, Elon Musk, talking to you, is I've tried to upload 4 videos and it gets to 99% and then just says error. So I've been trying. So I start uploading to Rumble. So we'll see.
Subtle plug. What do you think about Elon changing Twitter to X? What do you think about that?
It was a good marketing move. Actually, I was showed a video, what was that, from like 10, 20 years ago? Something like that.
He had X.com.
Yeah. He was talking about, I was like, man, that is crazy. So it's definitely a part of his long-term plan. All in all, I love X. Like it's it's basically the same in certain ways, but overall, the experience, the energy, it's just everything seems to be getting better with X.
What do you think a tweet should be called now?
What did he rename it to? Post or something?
Is that what it is? I made a post.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he renamed it to Post. I don't like that because it's like, if I think of Post, and you can call me like a OG or something because I'm from the blog days. But I think of a blog post.
Agree.
Versus a tweet. It's special. It's not just a blog post or an Instagram post. It's a tweet.
It's actually a big thing to, whenever you have like a word like that that's in the modern lexicon, like the day-to-day vocabulary of the entire world, it's such a big ballsy move to delete that from your business. Like everyone says, I Googled it, or I'll get an Uber, or
I tweeted it.
Like people were saying, I put out a tweet. And now no one can really say that. Well, they can, but over the years, it's going to get phased out. So it's actually kind of a ballsy move to move away from a business where you had literally the vocabulary of people on lock. Like it's as if Google changed their name away to something else. It's like, why would you do that? Everyone says, I Googled it. I'm going to go on Google. So it's kind of interesting. But you always started off on Twitter. I'm kind of curious, like how you started on Twitter and like how you, because now you're at like how many followers? 80K followers?
Yeah, 80,000 something. Yeah.
What was like the thing that you did that really took you from the lower follower ranges up to that 80? Like let's say someone's stuck at 5K followers, 10K followers, whatever it is, and they want to get up to these higher ranges. What would you advise people on Twitter to do?
I mean, start living an interesting life. That's the biggest thing that helps me is whenever I originally got started, I was like doing blogging, and then everybody started moving over to Twitter. Like Ed Lattimore, Cernovich, all those people. They started moving over to Twitter. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll try it. And it was definitely a struggle from like 0 to about 5,000 followers. And then around 5,000, that was when I started traveling and got up to like 10 to 12,000. And then I lost the account and I had to start over. But we can.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah, bro, that's true. Yeah,
because my phone number. Yeah, I didn't have my American phone number anymore, so I couldn't like authenticate it. So they just banned. And then I started another one. It started growing, and then that one got suspended. So I was like, okay, I'm done with Twitter. But then I ended up starting the current one. Then I have Moneybag Lives, and that's like 87, 88, something like that right now. We were, I think, at like 35,000 back in December. And at the time, I was like, okay, screw this. I'm going all in. So I literally started tweeting 6 hours a day. Like, I would just wake up. All I was thinking about was tweet. and hopping on trending topics and all that, but to give the audience something that's a little bit more actionable. Like I've talked about this on YouTube, actually, how to go from like 0 to, I think, 10,000, 15,000. We did an old video months ago. So they go check that out, but just figure out like some key themes that you actually want to talk about. A common issue that I see a lot of people do is they're like, oh, I'm going to start talking about copywriting and I'm going to start talking about personal brands and all, but they don't have anything yet. So take themes from your actual life. And if you're, let's say you're just getting into business, document yourself. I mean, that's not my topic. That's a Gary Vee thing. Like, document yourself. It's all about patience. So yeah, just start documenting what you're actually doing. And then once you start traveling and all that, then you can also document that, add your opinion out there, jump on trending topics. That's a very easy way to get exposed to a lot of people. Video content and all that. And just be consistent and getting the replies. Actually, X is really favoring replies right now.
Oh, really?
As well. Yeah. I'm not going to do it to the amount that I was encouraged to do. It was like 700 replies a day. I'm not doing that.
Who said that?
A friend of mine. And I was just like, bro, I'm not doing that.
That's ridiculous.
He's like, no, look at the analytics. I was like, I'm not doing that. I've got more important things to do.
Did he have a lot of followers?
Yeah, he's got a big account. And it was also, he got it from a thread where this guy was like, here's the how to hack the algorithm on X. Whatever.
700 replies a day.
Yeah.
Bro, like I don't spend that much time on my phone.
Maybe 50 to 100 a day is what I do now.
Yep.
And it's because I'm actually trying. Before I just wouldn't engage with it. But now I'm like, strong in the money bag, strong money bag. Great point. Agreed. Correct. So
Yeah.
I'm doing replies like that to just get into the habit of it. But you should definitely, because if you're just getting into Twitter, let's say you've got like 0 followers, 10 followers, who's going to see your tweet? So if you're sitting there thinking, how can I come up with a really good idea? And then you tweet it and then you're tweeting it. It would be like if there's nobody in this room and I was just talking. I would sound like a crazy person. So you should start finding big accounts in the markets you want to penetrate. So the I guess you could call it themes that you have. And start just replying to their tweets, quote tweet them, just do things like that, start building rapport. And example, like if you reply to one of my tweets, anybody that likes that tweet is going to see your account. And they're probably going to follow you because you've got a lot of value. And then also, this is another big one, your profile picture and your bio. Don't have some picture like just like this as your profile picture. Like have an actual picture.
Needs to be a good one.
Yes.
Either like a little bit of action or you doing something cool or just your face.
Yeah.
Something I see that is really bad with a lot of new guys on Twitter. They have like 12 followers and then they put their name like John, email marketing bio, I help you, blah, 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 email marketing. It's like you have 12 followers and you're already like pitching. You should make it more of a personality brand rather than like this pitch brand. Because now when I see you in my mentions, if I start like replying to you and liking your tweets, I know you're going to slide in the DM and say, hey, do you need like email marketing or short form video editing or something like that? You would rather interact with a real human, like a real person that's actually giving their opinion rather than someone who's trying to shill you their services or something
100%.
like that. Would you have any more tips for like guys that are, you know, maybe a little bit bigger, like on Twitter, like let's say going from, like you said, 30 to 80K, like was volume just the only thing that you changed up or did you take a different approach or?
Yeah. So the different approach was instead of just doing sheer volume, I did sheer volume on topics that I knew were going to pop off. So since you already have like a big audience or whatever, go through and see what tweets got the most engagement and just literally copy paste them onto a document and then break those down into like, okay, this topic, and just primarily focus on talking about that and do it 6 hours a day. So sheer volume on things that have already worked and people are interested in. And then sure, jump onto trending topics. Like I started experimenting with trending hashtags and different things like that here and there. That definitely helped, but just focus more volume. So just instead of sheer volume on a bunch of stuff, sheer volume on things that your audience clearly already is interested in. And that's literally what took me from like 33, 35,000 to whatever I'm at now. It's just doing that.
And it's the same thing with video. You can blow up on Instagram fast and TikTok fast if you batch record your videos. So what we did last year was we hired some videographers to come to our place once a week. We had them for the full day, like 5-6 hours, whatever it was. Myself and my business partner, we just sat and recorded like between 30 and 50 short form videos a day and between like 2 and 5 YouTube videos a day, depending on how much energy we had. And then we started doing some podcasts at the end. And whenever we started, and then after 2 months, we had a bank of like, say 200 plus videos. And it allowed us to post 3 times a day, every day from like 3-4 months. And that allowed us to eventually just hit the algorithm. Like we just hit the algorithm on a couple of videos. And again, it's something we talked about before the podcast, but going outside of niche topics really
Like
really
going broad, yeah.
going broad really boosts your view rate, and giving tips that normal person can use like right now. So for example, I had a video that was how to meet rich people in your city, and I told people to go to car shows, and this is the video that I actually mentioned Tate, and I saw like the comments, like all the bots were getting sent to me. It was crazy. But I said, how to meet rich people in your city, go to car shows. Generally people with nice cars and nice motorbikes, they're generally more rich. Just go up to them, make a conversation, get their email, or what you can do what Tate's photographer did, take pics of the car, then say, I'll send them to you, and get their email. Now you have a connect.
Oh yeah,
right?
the old person.
Yeah. So yes, I'm an old videographer, but that topic blew up. It got over like 1 million views in that video, and that was one of my first like bigger videos that really like got the snowball going on my account. And that was like a completely, like, it's nothing to do with what I do. Like I monetize socials for like coaches and info product sellers, right? It's nothing to do with that. But what it shows is, from a business point of view, that I know how to make videos blow up, right? And it got my account a ton more followers, ton more views. And then after that, most of my videos were getting no less than 30 to 50K views. And then the occasional one pop off to like 500K. So it's tapping into those wider topics that appeal to the masses, that will actually get your account much bigger. And you'll notice that all the big personal brands do that. If you look at Tate, you look at Hormozy, you look at King Keto, you look at anyone else, like any of these big guys, they literally will give you like tips on like what watch to buy, or like what clothes they like to wear, or here's the reason why I drive this car, here's the reason why I don't have a car even though I'm a millionaire, etc. Like all these like different things, nothing to do with fitness, nothing to do with health or wealth or nothing like that. But they tap into these topics because they just pop off so easily. And then they record 3 hooks per video, and then they can use that video 3 times, you know, over the months. So what is your plans going forward, other than the streaming, right?
Yeah.
Did we mention that on this pod, or was that before the pod? I
think
can't
it was
remember.
before
the pod. So you're going to move into streaming, which is interesting. So what's your plans going forward for like the money bag brand persona? What are you going to do for that?
I mean, just keep doing what we're doing. I mean, this year specifically, I'm not going to be doing nearly as much traveling, so I'll pretty much just be here in Dubai. But yeah, focusing on more face-to-face content, like IRL, like we're doing here, more streaming, long form, but as we were talking about before as well, like not just a bunch of like how-to type of content, going a little bit wider, because that has worked amazing in the past. Like I did some like 2 or 3 vlogs back to back, and one of those vlogs, I'm not going to name drop the person, but it was at the time a pretty big guy. This was like 3 or 4 months ago. And he was in the video. That was it. So I put his name in the subject line, and that video just popped off. And that took us, I think it was like 9,000 all the way to like 11,000 subs, something like that.
Just from one video?
Yeah, just from one video. And then I did another vlog, and then that helped. And then I did a podcast. Then I did another podcast. And then since that point, we've just basically been doing shorts. We're at like 17,000 right now. So as far as the plans, just streaming long form content and just keep crushing it in the real world like we're doing. And that's that.
Have you decided to do any more vlogs, or what do you think about doing vlogging as content?
Yeah, so we've got a vlog series called MBM Declassified. So we're going to be going up to Sharjah so I can get my driver's license, do all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because it literally is like an adventure.
I got mine too. Yeah, I had to go to the other side of the country to get mine and go through all the different departments and stuff, drive across the desert. It was a nightmare, but you know, it's kind of fun at the
we're
same
going to be
time.
filming that entire thing. Obviously, once we get to the government building, we won't film anything. But outside, because we're going to be taking a ferry, I'm going to surprise another person that's coming to visit. I'm going to surprise him. He's going to think we're just going to take an Uber, but we're going to take an Uber to a boat, take the boat to Sharjah. Yeah. And so that'll be an entire MBM Declassified episode.
That is pretty sick. Hopefully, this pod should not be going out before that surprise. But you've lived in a lot of places. Like, why did you pick Dubai to live?
So it was funny. Like, I wasn't even planning on living here. Like, I was in Paraguay at the time. Still, like, had an apartment and everything. All in all, it was pretty good. And I came to Dubai back in, like, what was it, November. And I was hanging out with Andrew and Tristan. And we were just hanging out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to the hotel. And he was like, gee, why don't you just live here? And I was like, oh, no, blah, 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 blah. Just a bunch of excuses. Oh, yeah, Paraguay is just so awesome. It's good, but it's not better than Dubai.
Yep.
And on the way back to the hotel, I was like, why don't you just live here? So I set up residency. It was a very direct process. And I like how the energy is here. Like, everything's very quick. Walk outside, you see abundance. I like the human spirit that's here. It's like, look at Dubai, where it is now compared to where it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago is amazing. So it's very inspiring. And it's definitely super safe as well. I know that's what everybody says, and it's true. Like, you could literally go at 3 a.m. in the morning in like a lower income area here, Rolex on, wad of cash, counting it. Nothing's going to happen. Go to America, go to the UK, go to South America. We'll see.
You wouldn't risk it. Let's put it like that. But what's your experience been like so far in terms of meeting new people? Like you mentioned, it's like a place for like to meet like like-minded people. What's your experience been like so far on that?
Oh no, I mean it's been great. I mean, luckily in the position I'm in, I already have a pretty good network of people, friends that are always traveling. They like coming to Dubai as well, so it's been pretty easy. I've met definitely some newer people, but it's usually like example, like if you and I are hanging out, like you introduce me to him. It's that type of situation. We'll sit down, have a cigar, exchange information, keep talking. So it's been a very awesome thing, and it actually got, because I kind of got lost in the sauce whenever I first got here.
Were you flexing too hard, man? Buying too much flexing?
I was enjoying it, but then at the time I was living on the Palm, and I had a neighbor who had a mansion that was just like I was just renting. This is his mansion, and it's his vacation home, and he only comes here like once or twice a year. And in his garage, he had a Bugatti, he had a Lambo, what is it, Urus, the SUV?
Yeah, Urus.
He had an Aventador, and then he had a Rolls Royce. And I was just like, Dylan, what are you doing? Like, you can't compete with anybody here. And it's not that I was doing it to compete with other people, but you definitely get a slight ego boost. When you're getting lost in the sauce. So it started out as I just want to try out all these different dream cars of mine, but then I was like, oh, you know what? I'll keep it for a week. Oh, I'll keep it for 2 weeks. Like, what's the point? You're wasting like $1,700 a day. Like, it's pointless. Like, either buy the car or just enjoy it for a day or two. Don't get lost in the sauce.
Dubai isn't actually a good place to flex, because whatever you try to flex, there's next guy coming over with 10 times more than you. And then if you're that guy, then there's another guy who's got 10 times more than him. So it's literally just a never-ending cycle. Unless you're like an Uber billionaire or something, then you can really like flex. But those guys are low-key anyway.
Oh, yeah, all those guys are low-key.
Like, then what's the point? If you really want to flex, then you should go to like Eastern Europe and pick like a small city in Eastern Europe, whether it's in Bulgaria or like Slovakia.
How's Bulgaria? I've heard it's kind of dangerous.
It was completely safe.
Really?
We were walking around with Rolexes on every day. Like, I mean, to be fair, I was there for a week alone. We spent a full month there. I was there the first week I was alone. I didn't wear the Rolex outside for like 3-4 days. Just, new city, you want to get a feel for it. And when we were driving in, I was like, this place, we were in Sofia, Bulgaria, the capital.
Ah, okay.
And I was driving in, I was like, this place feels kind of like sketch. Like the buildings weren't that nice and all. I get to the apartment, I just didn't wear the Rolex, and I started walking around. I was like, okay, I'm getting more comfortable, like, seeing the surroundings. Then I'd start to find more nicer areas, like nicer old buildings, more luxury. And then I was like, fuck it. I spoke to my Bulgarian friend, and he was like, yeah, bro, you'll have no problems wearing Rolex. I'm like, all right, I'm going to risk it. So I put the Rolex on, walking along around the street. And of course, like I've got my head on a swivel, like I'm looking over my shoulder at all times, like even,
as you should,
even in Dubai sometimes. Never had a problem. I was like, oh, that's actually quite safe. And then literally just kept walking around, no problems at all. But with that being said, the day after we left, we heard on the news that some crypto guy got like tortured for his crypto in Sofia, Bulgaria. So,
I also heard that the guy like screwed over some people. And so, I was about to say something, but I'm not.
Don't screw over people, especially dangerous people in Eastern Europe. But Bulgaria is a good spot to post up, I think. But if you can pick a small city in Eastern Europe and you have a little bit of money and you want to even like a nicer Mercedes or a nicer Audi that wouldn't get attention in like Miami or New York or Dubai or whatever, that in those cities really takes you far,
100%.
really far. And I recommend Eastern Europe for anybody you've traveled in Eastern Europe a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, I've lived there,
Yeah, oh yeah, you lived in Romania, that's correct. What do you think of like Eastern Europe compared to Dubai? Like let's say Romania compared to Dubai or anywhere else you've
like I've spent quite a bit of time in Georgia, Romania, and other Eastern European countries just traveling through, and I like the vibe there. It's very, I don't know, it feels like very free. I like some of the older architecture and all of that. Like I like that kind of vibe. It's very walkable and all of that. Compared to Dubai, it's very modern. Like it's like we're living 30 years into the future. It's luxury, so I like both of them for completely different things. Like if I want to kind of just be off the grid, go check out some old monasteries, go up in the mountains, do all that. Obviously, I'm going to go to Eastern Europe or something like that. But if I want to just for work and focus and luxury, obviously Dubai.
You don't find Dubai distracting? You find it like a good place to actually like focus in, or?
Yeah, well, whenever I first moved here, like I was saying, I got lost in the sauce, and I was going out for coffee and go to this dinner, and then let's go to this club, and let's go to here, and it was just like, this is stupid. Like thousands and thousands of dollars. What's the point? And I definitely got distracted. Compared to about a couple months ago, I decided, or no, it was about 2 months ago, decided to move slightly outside of Dubai and fix the problem completely.
Yeah, because you don't have access to that easy, like to the club, to the bar, the shisha bar, whatever. But that's for me. Like when I come to Dubai, I'm just constantly meeting people back to back to back. Like, oh, let's meet here, let's meet there. Like every night we're like meeting somebody.
I just don't do that. I used to feel like a dick doing that because I was like, oh no, I don't want people to think I don't want to meet them. But I was like, I just want to focus. Like, I can go out a couple times a week. I don't need to be going out. Oh yeah, let's go grab shisha. Oh, let's do this. Okay. And then you spend like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours just hanging out, talking. I mean, it's productive for sure, but you do. And this is actually kind of a lesson. There's seasons in your life. There's definitely seasons in your life where you should be hanging out, networking, talking. But there's also seasons where you just put your head down and work.
Yep.
Like the team and I, we're sitting here working. We don't need to be getting too far out of our routine. What we're doing is working very well right now, so let's just focus on that. And we could do all the hanging out and traveling we want later this year.
Yep. And that is the thing. Like I've been traveling a lot in the past 2 months around Europe, but we always find time for two things. One, the gym, two, work blocks. It's just like, right, we're going to hit a work block right now for 2-3 hours. We're just going to get all our tasks done that we need. And then we're going to hit the gym. Because whenever you travel a little bit, those two things really slip, the gym and working. Like, everyone's just like, oh, we'll go to the beach, we'll go to the club, the bar, we'll go check out this thing up in the mountains or whatever. Like you get distracted and then like days pass and you've barely done anything. So that's like the hardest part about travel. And it's why also the whole digital nomad thing.
Like hell.
It is hell. It is hell. And that's why the whole digital nomad thing is such bull. Like it's complete garbage. Because these guys are like traveling all the time. They make like $5 a day, just enough to pay for.
Is that a true story?
That is literally true.
So I haven't met any of those people, but I guess I move around different crowds maybe. But
so I guess there's two kinds of digital nomads, right? Ones that have like, I guess, regular jobs, right? But their salaries are kind of capped. Two, there's like the real brokies, the real brokey digital nomads. So when I was like 18, and I was a brokey too, I went to Thailand just for a little trip. And we were stretching our pennies. We were like trying to stay in the cheapest hostels, buy the cheapest food, whatever. Ended up meeting these people, and I was in university at the time. Ended up meeting these people that were like similar age to me. And they were like, yeah, man, we just like travel all the time. I'm like, how do you do that? They're like, yeah, we're digital nomads. We work on our laptop, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is amazing. So I got their contact info and I went back home and I started researching how to be a digital nomad. I'm asking these guys, so how are you making your money? They're like, yeah, we use like these surveys. We do these online surveys that they pay you to complete. So we just sit and we do some surveys and then we make enough money to pay for the hostel or whatever. I'm like, that's like $10 a day. And it's like, yeah, it's enough. It's like $5 a day hostel, like $1 like pad thai. You have that a couple times a day. You got a couple bucks left over for your beer, and that's what they do. Like it was, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is ridiculous.
And they just do that for a couple years, or is this like their life?
Who knows, man? Who knows where they're at now? I don't talk to them anymore. But that kind of got me down the rabbit hole, though. Then I'm like, okay, online money. I can make money from a laptop. I don't need to be in an office. I don't need to be, stuck. So that got me down the rabbit hole, and I listened to Ty Lopez's podcast. I remember I was driving to university every day. I had like a 1 to 2 hour commute every day up to university. Just driving through traffic and everything. It was terrible. And I would just stick on his podcast and he would just listen to random topics about Amazon FBA and making blogs and, doing an SMMA. And I tried all those businesses, and that kind of got me down like the rabbit hole of making real money while being like a digital nomad. I don't know if you've like interacted with a whole lot of digital nomads in your travels.
I mean, I really don't. I interact with people that operate online businesses. So I guess that type of digital nomad for sure. But like the types of people that are like penny pitching and all that. Like whenever I was traveling initially, obviously I was a brokey, but I was just alone. So I wasn't interacting with a bunch of people and all that. But yeah, I haven't really had many Like I've heard these like fantasies almost. There are people that exist in hostels and $5 a day. That's why I had to ask. I was like, "Is that actually a real thing?"
It's sadly real. It's a terrible way to live. I wouldn't recommend it at all. Don't be a digital nomad. It's not a good route. So we met back in Costa Rica, And you actually had like a bit of a big personal transformation, because you always post the same picture of you back in like the restaurant where you're wearing like the tee and you're smiling and like your before and after. What's like that journey been like in terms of like personal development, coming from what you were to where you are now? And what's your philosophy behind like becoming like a better person in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's just constantly wanting to evolve. Like, I've crushed it when it comes to like the financial side and like you can call it the business side, a bunch of other areas. But the one thing for me that's been a consistent challenge that I'm like continuously pushing against is just finalizing my physical form. So it definitely comes down to discipline. So it's like the more disciplined I become in fitness, obviously that's going to directly impact everything else I'm doing. Because I was talking, I forgot his Twitter handle. His name's Alex, and him and I were going back and forth. I was giving him some like guidance on business, and he started giving me guidance on fitness. And he was like, bro, like you've got the discipline. Like I've literally watched you for the last 2 days. You wake up straight to work. Just do that with fitness. And the way he broke it down, it made a lot of sense. But it's definitely been awesome to watch it in hindsight. Because like I still feel like the exact same person. Like I always knew the things that like obviously I've got more skills now, but like my vision, certain mindsets that I have, I've essentially always been the same person, the same personality, obviously. But so it feels the same. It's just like, oh yeah, I knew I was right.
Yeah, because bro, you look from when I met you in Costa Rica to now, such a transformation.
Really?
Like, yeah, I'm serious. Like you've done a great job so far.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. What did you like change specifically? Did you change up your diet? Did you start working out more? Like what did you kind of do?
Cut my stress down a lot. That was a big driver. So bringing a bunch of awesome people on. Shout out to you. Bring a bunch of awesome people on. That way we can really, like, instead of me just being like, just work. Now we can actually, okay, this is what I'm focusing on. This is what you're focusing on. I've got a really good team around me. Way more sunlight. Like I literally would sometimes not go outside for days on end. Like back in those days. So way more sunlight, way more activity, way more walking. My diet's for the most part the same, outside of like I eat maybe a little bit less than back in those days. And actually, an interesting thing that I identified about myself is whenever I would start getting stressed, or I guess you call it emotional eating. I think that's what everybody calls it. I would just, I'm hungry. And then when I actually in Paraguay, that I was like, why are you doing that, Dylan? That's so stupid. Like, just because you're stressed doesn't mean, you're hungry. No, you're not hungry. Go drink some water, take a walk, do something. And so that actually helped massively, because you can be eating all the right food, but then if you're snacking and then you're going over your calories, you're going to get fat and all that. So definitely the meals that I'm consuming are smaller. Like I'm still eating the exact same stuff I was eating back then. Once again, just less.
Tucking into the KFCs.
Oh no! See, I've never been crazy about KFC. Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is the one.
Man,
yeah.
Obviously, you can only get it in the South, but Chick-fil-A is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think.
How much you eat for breakfast?
Oh yeah, I can tell you about that. Every single morning, can of sardines, some peanut butter on top of eggs.
Peanut butter on eggs.
It's amazing.
What the hell?
You've got to try it.
You serious?
It's the best breakfast ever.
You mix it all together?
So yeah, I'll have the 3 eggs. My girl makes that, and then she'll put some peanut butter on that, and then I'll just have a can of tuna. 10 out of 10 mil.
What possessed you to do that? What started that?
So it all got started 5 years ago
when you discovered peanut butter tastes good with eggs.
So many years ago, we'd stayed out super late, and we didn't have much food at the time because we didn't feel like going to the grocery store or anything. Stay out super late. We were hungry. And we had eggs and peanut butter. And I was like, tried it. I was like, that's actually not bad. Forgot about it. And then a couple months ago, I rediscovered. I was like, oh, yeah, I need to try that again. Because sardines, I like it just for the health benefits. They don't taste the best. Like, if I'm being honest, the sardines don't taste good at all. But they're good enough, especially whenever you've got a side of eggs with some peanut butter. So you've got to try it.
I will try it, but yeah, okay, I'll do it. It sounds terrible, but yeah, a little protein hack that I use is just cans of tuna, man. Like if I'm sitting at night and I'm like, damn, I feel a little bit hungry, like maybe I need to get my protein up, I just grab tuna in olive oil, just smash that. It's like the quickest little protein hack. And then what we've been doing recently is just eggs in a glass, mix that with some like chocolate milk, just neck it.
Yeah.
It's like the fastest, quickest like protein hack you can ever do.
The tuna thing I would do, the egg thing, like I've tried it. It's just, and I've looked into it and to convince myself not to do it. It just doesn't seem like there's that much benefit.
Chocolate milk. Put the
chocolate milk.
Yeah, because then you don't taste it. Then it just tastes like chocolate milk. But then you're necking like 4 or 5 eggs in one go. Tastes delicious. You get your protein in, you get more jacked.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you don't even need to have breakfast or go for breakfast. Or like.
Do you do the whole raw milk with honey thing?
No, but I have done that before. What I kind of just do now is I eat mostly just meat, like in my day-to-day diet. So when I'm back in Marbella and I'm just like living my day-to-day life and I'm not traveling so much, when you travel, it kind of gets messed up because you have to go to restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have time for cooking, for example. But when I'm in Marbella, just steak. Takes 2 seconds to fry. Maybe you have like I drink some eggs in the morning. I'll just have like cooked chicken already, and that's just what I'm smashing. Just like pure protein all the time. It just melts off the fat. The past couple of months have been pretty bad because we've been eating KFC quite a lot when we're traveling and just like eating junk in general. But my normal diet is just pure. And I'm not some fitness freak, like, but I'm in okay shape. Just pure protein. It's like the best, and it's better for mental clarity because if you cut out as many carbs as possible, especially I can't remember if they call them simple or complex carbs, but whatever, like the one that has all the sugar in it, like bread and stuff, like bread and pasta, you cut those out and you never eat those. You just eat like potatoes and rice as your carb.
Of course, you had to say potatoes.
Yeah, of course, bro. Irish. You just smash some potatoes and then you're gonna become Irish monster. But yeah, I find that like cutting out carbs just maximize my focus so much.
Yeah.
Like whenever I just don't eat any carbs, I have so much more energy. I feel way more mentally clear, but the problem is you're a little bit weaker in the gym because the carbs actually give you more like glycogen or whatever it is. I don't know the science, but if you eat some carbs, you'll notice that the days after that smashing like a carb day, you can lift way more in the gym.
So I've actually looked a lot into that whole carb thing when it comes to having like strength in the gym, and you can actually don't even need to worry about carbs. Something that works amazing in the gym when it comes to just power, C4.
C4, just knack it, bro. Knacking the pre-workouts, that is the hack. Just we've been knacking just like Monster Energies before gym.
Oh, really?
And that just works perfectly well.
For me, I love the C4, the energy drink. C4, love it. Although I stopped drinking it because I was like super focused, and I was drinking 2 cans a day. In my eye right here for it's like 2 weeks straight. It was just like
twitching
like that. And I stopped drinking it, and it still would do that.
Man, the same thing happened to me when I was in university. So we had this nightclub in Belfast, right? And it used to sell drinks for like 90 cents per drink, right?
Yeah.
So you get it was per ingredient. So you got a vodka Red Bull, it would be $1.80, right? So vodka Red Bull. So I'd be getting like double, triple vodka Red Bulls, like for like $3.50 or something like that, right? So I would just be drinking those like crazy, and I would wake up in the middle of the night with a cold sweat. My heart would be pounding, and I swear to God, that is what just took me off Red Bull for years. I've barely touched a Red Bull in like literally like 5 years. I barely drink it because
I'm not crazy about it either.
No. So let's switch gears a little bit. So you've been helping out on the Hustlers University side of things, right? So how did that all come into fruition where you're a professor on that side, you market it, like how did that all come about, and how's that been so far?
Yeah, so we're the Real World. So
The Real World, sorry.
Yeah.
It rebranded. Yeah.
Yeah, rebranded.
Real World.
Yeah, we're the Real World. As far as how that came to fruition was, I mean, I was already teaching people like for the last 3-4 years, and people could see my track record of what I had done personally, but then they also saw the students that I'd helped. Like example, because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just luck. Like, cool, it worked for me. Can it work for other people? So I tried it with a guy that ended up getting in touch with me whenever I lived in Brazil, and hardly had enough money to even buy the course. So like I was like, if you do this, this, and this, like take action on this, and I'll just give you access. And then after I said that, he immediately applied what I told him to do, and it was literally just some videos I put together for free. Immediately applied them. I was like, maybe I can test my theory and see if this is just luck or if this is actually a method. And so that ended up leading to like what I call the money bag method. You can get access to that inside the Real World. But because I had done that, he went through and applied it. And the last I checked, and I literally have talked to him like since I left Brazil, but he was doing about $30,000 a month US. So imagine making that in Brazil.
That's a kid from Brazil making 30 grand a month.
Yeah, the last I checked, and this is maybe a little too personal, I stopped talking to him because the money kind of got to his head. Like imagine like a 21-year-old kid that went from absolutely nothing to 30 grand a month.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the right mindset and all of that. And so I was just like, okay, bro, do your thing. So which leads me to whenever they brought me into the Real World, we partnered together and all of that, I focus a huge aspect on the mindset initially because how you view the world is obviously going to have a direct impact on the discipline you're going to have when it comes to learning these skills, or you're going to come in and expect that, oh, okay, all I've got to do is consume a bunch of information and all this magic's going to happen. No. Consume all the information, but then apply it. And so I teach my students, and every single campus does this. We focus on action steps. And this is how, I mean, you know this, bro. Like, you can have all the information, but if you're not applying it, it's useless. So that's what we really focus on inside the real world, is giving people the information, but then we also give them the action steps. And we also, I've got literally a team that works 24/7 inside to make sure that students' questions are getting answered and all of that. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it's coming to fruition for the past 2 years now. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because with like our clients, for example, that let's sell like courses and coaching programs, the guys that are much more successful, whenever you're selling coaching, you notice that oftentimes the completion rates of the course are very low, and it's because the people that are coming in don't have the right mindset.
Yep.
So in all the top coaching programs and info products that are selling millions a month through like ads, etc., the first module is always mindset.
You got to do it
because you're taking people from zero who've never like made a penny by themselves, like maybe they're just in a job or whatever. And you're taking them and you're teaching them how to make money by themselves. There's so many limiting beliefs, so many incorrect viewpoints about the world that you can't make money, and you know, this is too difficult, and that's not for me, it's for these other people. You need to break all those beliefs first before they can actually take the first step. And that's literally the biggest part of that. And it's crazy that some kid from Brazil went to make like $30K a month, because that's like, you're basically making like, you're like a millionaire in Brazil at that point, you know, like in terms of what that money can buy you.
Oh, I mean, the top, I was on a podcast literally right over there not too long ago, and he was saying if you make $5,000 a year, that you're like the 1% or something. I don't know if that's like
In
true.
Brazil or the world in general?
Brazil.
Okay.
And I was just like, really? That's crazy. So that kid, like a 21-year-old kid making $30,000 a month, like that's more than doctors, lawyers, and all of that. Unless they're taking money under the table.
Yeah,
but,
and that's from the money back method.
Yeah, from the money back method. Literally just taking a service, and he didn't just come in having a skill already. Like we went back and forth. We picked a few little things. It's like, okay, start with this. He started with graphic design. It was okay. Then I was like, okay, try this. It was okay. Then I was like, okay, try Twitter ghostwriting. And then from there, we built an entire service out of it. When I say we, he did all the work. Like, he would just take action and come back to me for questions. And he turned that into an entire agency. And then from there, he started learning all the different, like, what's a niche, different things like that. Like, whenever I got started, I didn't know what freelancing was. I didn't know what copywriting was. I didn't know what niches were. I barely knew what WordPress was. So it's like, you have to learn all this stuff. And that's what I enjoy doing inside the real world, is you have access to all that. Like, not only are you told what all these different things are, but you're shown how to do it. But then we also really encourage the mindset side as well in the beginning. That way you go into it with a correct expectation. Like, if you just come into something with the wrong expectation, oh, this is going to be just copy paste, you're going to quit.
Yeah, and that's actually a misconception that I almost had when I very first started, right? Because when you go to a job, right, there's somebody that tells you this is what you need to do, step by step, do this, do this, do this. But as soon as you get into like the entrepreneurial world, you have to figure it out by yourself. There's nobody telling you, do this, do this, do this, do this. So it's actually such a hack to pay somebody, if you have the money, pay somebody for some kind of course or mentorship or whatever, and they can tell you, do this, do this, do this, because it will accelerate your path so much.
1,000%.
So much. So if you were taking somebody from, let's say they're at zero, they want to start some kind of like freelancing business or whatever, what would you tell them the first step is? How would they go from that to, say, making their first like 2K a month, 1K a month?
So, I mean, obviously it's literally called the simple steps, and it's like a framework that I've put together where, okay, where are you at within the simple steps? Okay, here's what you need to do next. But obviously we need to start number one with, what's your skill? Like, if you don't have a skill, you're not going to have an offer. If you don't have an offer, who's going to pay you? So first you need to identify, and I just recommend dabbling. It might take you a month or so. Who knows? Like, it's going to take as long as it takes. But even whenever I got started, I dabbled. I tried different skills: web design, graphic design, like writing sales pages, and then eventually getting to email copywriting. Don't take as long as I took, because I took way too long. So we need to start with an actual skill set. And then from there, you need to learn the skill. Don't be like, oh, it's hard, so I'm just going to... No, of course it's going to be hard. You've just got started. So you need to learn that skill. and start reaching out to people and just get like a case study, a testimonial. And then it also does another thing. It gives you experience, and that experience breeds confidence in, okay, I'm going to keep doing or reaching out to more people. And don't focus at first on how can I make as much money as quickly as possible. Focus more so on let me actually get experience working with another person. Because it's one thing to write an email for yourself or to edit a video for yourself, and it's a complete other thing to have a client that you're going to be working with. And you could do it for like work with them for free or noticeably cheaper than what everybody else is doing. But you really need to focus on the experience, whether that takes you 2 weeks or 2 months. Really focus on that. And then from there, you're going to start figuring out like, okay, we need to start doing outreach. And then from there, you're going to have like, okay, these types of DMs whenever I send it out. Do you do cold email, by the way?
We used to do a lot of it, a little bit now, but not so much.
Because I teach specifically the DM side. We've got another guy that teaches cold email. But yeah, anyways, I'm like all about sending DMs. It's way easier. So yeah, start reaching out to people. You should be doing 5 to 10 DMs a day. Don't be like, hello, sir, I am 17 and I am a copywriter. Nobody cares. Focus on what are you going to actually do for that person. And just focus on getting experience. And it's from there, I mean, once you've made, let's say your first $500, well, you have a clear blueprint. Okay, I did X and made $500 for whatever their service is. So now I just need to repeat that a few more times to get to 2K, or how can I add more value into this offer to where it makes sense for a guy to pay me $1,000? I don't recommend going if you're just getting started. How can I get paid $2,000 a month from one person? So I don't know about you, but for me, that would be way too much pressure. If I was a complete amateur at the time, like I just wouldn't want that. So I would recommend finding how can I add more value into this offer so that I can charge $1,000 from this person. And from there, I mean, it's you can just keep scaling it up from that point, and eventually you'll get to where you need to have a team. But that's in the future.
The point about getting clients for free or extremely cheap was something I never did. And it was actually a bit of a mistake because I think it meant that it took me getting my first client all those years ago a lot longer. Whereas if I was getting on sales call, I did 100 sales calls before I got a client. Like it took, I mean, not precisely 100, but I did a lot of sales calls before I got my first client because I just wasn't good at selling. I had no previous case studies. I was just pitching.
And that takes balls though.
It takes balls, but I'd wish I'd got on calls and said, right, I'm going to do this for super cheap, but my ego is in the way because I'd already made money from a previous business. But whenever I wrapped that up, I needed to start a new business, and I was like, no, I need to make money. I can't be working for free. That was like my attitude, like my ego getting in the way. But if I had started the first like 2 to 3 clients for free or for extremely cheap, I would have had case studies. I would have closed way more clients, way more faster. So, I mean, luckily it all worked out in the end. Anyway, so we got a bunch of clients. They were paying us, so we were able to, tweak things from there. This was like maybe 3-4 years ago. But yeah, that's definitely the solid method. A really good method for getting clients on Twitter that I found, or that I've seen, is guys will post like, if I was doing CRO or emails for at this person, like they tag them, like at this brand, at this guy, this is what I would do. And then they would just attach like a photo of like the before and after. Like let's say it's like their website and they would need to change up the site to make it convert better. This is what I would test. Then they would have the before and the after picture, and then the thread would explain step by step what they changed and why they changed it.
Yeah, they're literally showcasing what they would do. It's very effective.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best ones, and I've seen so many people doing that and actually getting the big client even when they're a complete beginner because they're publicly putting out their work, they're tagging people, and whenever it gets a few likes and maybe a couple of retweets or whatever, then the big person who you tag will eventually see that in their mentions, and then they're gonna be like, what is this? And they're gonna respect the fact that you made some work for them in advance. Like, and it's so easy to do with like, say, graphic design offers or like web design or email marketing or something along those lines where it's a visual representation. Like if I was doing emails for Money Back Madden, here's what I would do. And before and after, like what the email would be about. And that's probably one of the best.
100%.
So in terms of actually scaling up from a couple grand a month, 2, 3, 4K, whatever it is, getting up to those bigger levels, like what everyone wants is like 10K a month. What do you think at that point is the most important part for beginners to get into?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you want to have either an assistant, or it depends on your service. Like, let's say you're a copywriter. You might want to hire somebody that can help delegate some of the writing too. And so for that point, or maybe you just want to focus on the writing and you want to hire somebody to do the outreach. But don't get caught up in this whole trap of I need to constantly be taking on new client. How about we take on a client and actually retain that client and keep fulfilling and all of that? And you can also leverage, and this is what I did to get from, it was like 4K to right around 8 or 9K referrals. Nobody talks about referrals. They're always talking about, I need to send more DMs, more cold. Why don't you just do amazing work for your current clients and then create some kind of incentive for them to refer you to somebody else, or just do an amazing job and maybe they'll do it. I like the more direct approach. Like, hey, if you, we've been working together for the last like 3 months. Here's what we've been doing. If you happen to have any friends that are interested in XYZ, if you refer them to me, I'll do XYZ. Something like that. And like incentivize them, because if you don't ask, more than likely they're never going to say anything, because in their mind they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, if Dylan, if I refer more people, he's going to be working. No, so incentivize them, be direct about it. And then that's one of the easiest ways to scale up. So start with the clients you're already delivering for, because you've clearly proven yourself to them if you're doing it correctly. And then from there, start hiring people. And you don't need to go on a hiring spree, but hire somebody that you can delegate aspects of the work to, whether it's doing outreach, whether it's doing the actual writing side, or maybe you're better at writing, but you suck at the research side, so you have this person researching. And just start delegating the stuff, especially that you suck at. Like, I cannot stand doing research and all of that. So that was one of the first things that I delegated. I prefer to be sitting there writing and all that, and I can take topics and turn this into like an actual email campaign or something. So yeah, and focus more on what you're actually good at and you enjoy doing, instead of the thing that, example, if you wanted me to put together a beautiful sales page, I could write the copy, but if you were to make a actual, like, it's just amazing. Like, you just look at the design of it. It would be like bashing my head into a wall. I hate it. So I would outsource that.
One of the things that I really recommend people do, and it's a double-edged sword, because if you perform really well, you make more money. But if you don't perform so well, you don't get that much money. And that is revenue shares. So
like performance-based? Yeah.
Performance-based. But, you know, for like the more experienced guys out there, you should be doing retainer plus performance, because it just covers your ass. But if you do that, if you structure your pricing that way, you don't need so many clients, because what a lot of people do is, and in the agency game, this is like one of the biggest things that they mess up with, is they get a few clients, and then the only way for them to make more money is get more clients and more clients and more clients. And then eventually what that means is you're spread thin with your current clients and your current team. You haven't hired sufficiently, and you're spread thin, and then every client gets less attention each. So then things start to slip through the cracks. Things start to fall apart because you have so many accounts that you're working on.
That's what gives agencies such a bad rap.
That's why everyone's like, oh, I got burned by an agency. It's because they scaled too hard and they didn't hire their correct team members. But then even at the same time, even if you do hire more team members, then it really hurts your margin. So then it means you're just in this game where the more revenue you bring in, your margin gets lower and lower and lower, because you have to hire more people and build out more crazy systems, etc. It's much better to work with fewer but higher quality clients and take retainer plus percentage, because then you can focus on that small group of clients. You can deliver them insane work. You can maximize the amount of money that you make for them, and as long as the performance fees, performance incentives are actually aligned and they're happy with that, they won't mind paying you this huge fee every month, because you're making them a ton more money on the other side. So I would really recommend that to beginners to try and find a client that is in a really good position. It's called like a leveraged offer. If they have, let's say they're running an e-commerce brand, right? And they are making hundreds of thousands a month or whatever, then you're stepping into an existing flow of traffic. They've got the traffic already. Let's say then you want to run like SMS campaigns or email campaigns, or, you know, tweak the conversion rate on the landing page. And then you can structure your deal in the way that says, however much money I make you, I get this cut. And that's how you actually step into a bigger flow. Because a lot of guys are like, yeah, I'll just, you know, do your stuff for like a couple grand a month, and that's all you're ever going to make. It doesn't matter if you make your client like $10 million or you make him like, you know, $1,000.
All your grand.
Yeah, you're just getting your 1K, 2K.
Yeah.
But you could have been making way more if you got creative with your pricing. But it really only works with guys that actually have an offer that affects a monetary result. That's why I don't really recommend people to do like maybe graphic design or like making logos or like, you know, branding or nothing like that. It's much more efficient to get into a service that is directly tapping into revenue. Because then you can take a cut and you can scale better with less 100%. Clients. So, but I think we are over time. I think, are we, brother? TK? Is he alive?
He's on his phone.
Oh. Well, anyway, bro, that was the end of it. It's good to have you on, man. Good to see you again.
Likewise,
and,
brother.
Hopefully we have another episode sometime in the future.
You gonna go get some shisha?
Let's get some shisha.
Let's do it.
Let's go.